Everybody shut up and action. So is Conclave a good movie? It was interesting. Like, Conclave is a movie that is essentially about a conclave. A conclave is the process of, or a meeting that is held by a bunch of the bishops or like people that are high up in the Christian chain for deciding the next pope, and it's basically a group of those guys who come together to hold a vote to determine who will be the next pope. Sorry if I got that wrong. I kind of forgot what the position of those people are. I just know you have these people who are high up in that religious cycle for Christians, and they basically come together to kind of vote to determine who will be the next pope, because the pope has passed away or something has happened that it requires them to have a new pope. That is kind of the basis of this entire movie. It's the story about how all the popes from the world, or how all of these religious figures are coming from the world to gather together for this vote, how this vote is being organized, how this vote is happening, the process of the vote itself, and then eventually who becomes the next pope in this movie, which is a fictitious depiction of our world. And yeah, that is the story. It's basically the story of the world. I really got interested into this movie, even though it's a more religious-based movie, solely because there was a conclave this year, because the Pope unfortunately passed away, and they had to elect a new Pope, and I heard that, oh my god, even like the people who are making this vote are watching Conclave to see how a conclave happens, because they were unsure of what the process will be like, since a conclave hasn't happened in a long time. So I don't know why, and this movie has been on my list for a while because I've heard a lot of people say a lot of good things about it, so I was like, whatever, I'll watch it. It seems like a good story, and it was pretty interesting. Like, it does have you engaged throughout this entire process. Like, you don't have to be religiously affiliated at all to find entertainment in this movie. Like, you're not watching it for entertainment. I mean, that's why you watch any movie, actually. You're watching everything for entertainment. But, like, you're not looking into it seeing, like, oh my god, I'm going to turn this religious thing into pure spectacle for me. It's not really a spectacle. It's more of, like, an understanding of how this entire thing works, and that's kind of what I was expecting going into this movie, because I kind of wanted to know how it works too. And it was kind of an interesting process. It's basically similar to how voting is done for class president, or the president of the US, prime minister of the Canada, or whatever governing country you're in. But like, it's kind of similar to that, and all it is more religiously based. And here you're just seeing the story of how these popes are not. I keep calling them popes. How all these religious figures. I keep calling them figures because I don't know if they're bishops or what you call them, but you see how all these figures come together, and everyone is in like sort of different factions. Like, oh, I'm voting for this person. I'm kind of like in line with these people. You have people who are being voted for who don't want to be pope because they don't think they are worthy. They don't want that responsibility, or for one reason or another. And then you keep constantly finding how all these people are kind of being a little nefarious. Like, oh, you want to be pope, but are you truly righteous? I found this situation about you and this woman from another country, and I just brought her here so everyone can see that, so I don't think anyone's going to vote for you anymore. And then it's like, oh my god, look what he did. Do you think this is right? You want a pope who's going to behave like this just to try and win the election for a pope? Oh, so now no one's going to vote for him either. Oh my god. Like, you're seeing all this, like, more political style sort of actions taken against each other to try and win this position of becoming the pope, and you're like, is this really what religion has come to? Like, people are fighting, and then you come to realize throughout this entire movie, it's kind of just trying to show you that religion isn't truly about following religion anymore. It's more politics than anything. The key thing here is that you see how politics is intervening into this. You have people who seem to be leaning towards wanting to change their interpretation of this religion and how it's been interpreted for many years, from being like, oh, we're not accepting of this things, but I am changing my views a little, and now I am a pope. I am trying to be a pope that is more accepting towards these things that traditional aspects of our religion do not typically accept or believe, or at least from the basic or at least from the more traditional interpretations. And then you have people who are on that most traditional interpretations and be like, you really want a pope who's gonna be more accepting of all this? Like, this is completely entirely against everything our religion stands for, or it's going against everything that we believe in, or we're supposed to believe in. Like, you're seeing all these different aspects that are kind of just battling one another in terms of politics more than anything. And then this entire thing is not about like who is like the most deserving to be the pope, or who is the most righteous, who is the most like something you'd expect, like, to be the someone who is the best example of how to follow a religion, to be the leader of that religion, but it turns into this more political battle, and people taking actions against one another to try and become leaders, people trying to sway votes. Oh, everyone's voting for me, but I'm clearly not getting enough support, so I will ask all my followers to vote for this man instead, because, well, he is what I believe in to be the righteous leader that we need as a pope, and we must work together to make sure he's elected over someone else. And, like, people are trying to form groups to make sure the person they want is elected. They're all constantly taking actions against one another. And then you're mainly following the story of this man whose job it is to organize this entire papacy, the entire vote, to elect the next pope. And you're seeing him throughout this entire journey wanting to have forcing himself to have uncomfortable conversations with people, having to do uncomfortable things, because he's struggling to trust a lot of people by their word, and he has to come to the bottom of the truth for a lot of different things, because a lot of different things need to happen for a proper proceeding, for the vote to happen fairly, justly, and to make sure everyone is being righteous about everything and not trying to be deceptive in any degree. And he has to force himself to go through a lot of uncomfortable discussions and things, and it just shows how difficult this position can be, to be a neutral party, forcing everything to be neutral when there's a lot of actions being taken from a lot of different sides. And then in the end, they end up voting for a guy who seems to be portrayed as this entire righteous figure, the one man who is just seems to be this righteous figure that is trying to be more accepting towards everyone of all faiths, and just try to be an example for what it means to be righteous, or something or the other. I'm kind of forgetting how that happened at the end, but all I know is that, like, when you saw this man make one speech, you can feel the entire shift of the entire group of those religious figures sort of just change, how every mental mindset just simply changed. And then you knew the next vote that would happen, he would win. And you're like, yeah, he's gonna win because he's the most righteous figure there. And I don't know, like, I don't like to think that there's a term of righteous or wrongness, because I think that is a state of mind and state of perception. But, like, at the same time, it's like, you knew, yeah, he's gonna win. He seems like to be, after that speech, I know he's probably gonna be the best candidate. And then it just makes you think, like, the biggest reason that made you think he's the best candidate is because he was essentially advocating for something along the lines of accepting diversity in religions and being accepting of one another, in terms of differing religious faiths. Like, the big key aspect leading up to this was that there was a big terrorist attack outside, and then there was this entire discussion and attack against other religions for constantly attacking their home area for their religion. And they're like, look at these people, they're attacking our religion, our people, our faith, and we want to be accepting of them, living with them. And you're going like, okay, he's making some points there. And then you see this entire other man making this entire speech, which is slipping my mind because I watched this movie yesterday, so I'm going like, right now I'm going like, what did he say again? But in the moment of the thing, you're like, yeah, he's making really good points now. I'm talking about the guy who made his speech about being all righteous, about accepting religious diversity. He makes some really good points in there. His speech, he's just making a small speech, trying to calm down an argument between two different sides, and he makes this beautiful speech that just affirms trying to be loving towards all religions or something or the other. And honestly, I forget what his speech says, but it was something along the lines of trying to be accepting of religious diversity for some reason, or in some way, shape, and form. And you kind of knew in that moment that he had won because he's the most loving person there, the most seemingly righteous person there, and he seems to be the right fit to be the next pope. And then you have this entire sort of final segment from the vote where it's like, oh, for some reason or another, he is not actually able to be a pope for a certain reason. And then, like, it's like, will he actually be able to become the next pope or not? Because he was voted in, but for some reason he's not eligible. I'm saying some reason, though the reason is depicted in the movie. I'm not trying to hide spoilers because clearly I'm talking spoilers in this movie. It's just slipping my mind right now, and I don't want to mistakenly say what it was, because I think it was something about, I don't know, it was just like said in a way that kind of confused me. So I'm still kind of confused about it. I don't know. I think it was something along the lines that the dude, might be a transgender person or something that just kind of gave that entire vibe. I didn't, it confused me, but all I knew is that for some reason, the basic point that came across was that for something along these lines, he is not eligible to be the Pope, and then it comes up to the guy who's organizing this entire vote to determine, is he going to be the next Pope or not? Like, do I have to say he's ineligible and hold another vote, or do we confirm him as the Pope and move forward? What do we do now? And honestly, the way that entire wraps up, it just leads up to this ending that just ends the movie. It doesn't leave you satisfied. It doesn't leave you unsatisfied. It just ends, and you're like, okay, so that's how everything works. And it just seems very political in the sense that, religion isn't about following the religion. It's about religion being interpreted by each individual to their own degrees, and how it correlates with their own political beliefs, and how they may try to alter religions or try to change people's perceptions or interpretations of a religion to kind of fit the progressive nature of the world, or try to fit their worldview, or how they want the world to be, how they want the religion to be followed. And I guess that's kind of how things are. Also, this could just be me interpreting the film in a completely different way, or at least that's how the film came off to me. I don't know, but like, honestly, it was a kind of intriguing movie to see how this entire process worked, because I entirely watched this movie just to see how Conclave works, because I thought it was cool. I thought it was an interesting thing that happened this year, and I just wanted to see how it works, and that's kind of the leading thing that drove me to this movie. And in the end, it was just an actually interesting movie to watch, seeing this entire story unfold and see how politics kind of invades itself into every little aspect of life, including religious beliefs. So yeah, I thought it would make for an interesting watch, and it was kind of interesting. Overall, the movie's still pretty mid, but I had an interesting time watching it. I found it an enjoyable movie to watch, and it was pretty decent. Mid but decent. That's what it is. That is Conclave. Peace.